Lakers, Heat, NBA Finals preview. I got a lot of stuff to cram in about 12 minutes, so let's get right to it. First of all, who guards Anthony Davis? A huge pressing question for Eric Spoelstra. Last game in November, it was Myers Leonard, who obviously has not played just about in the whole bubble. Myers might get back in the rotation a little bit, but obviously you'd expect the Heat to stick with their same starting lineup. So do they go with Bam Adebayo or Jay Crowder on Anthony Davis? You'd think Bam would be the more logical answer given his size, his physicality. Do you also give him a little bit of help on digs like that from Jimmy Butler and dare LeBron to shoot? Or guys like Caruso to have to put the ball on the floor and hope that your help defense is better than this? Personally, I'd lean Bam, as you'd think AD would steamroll Jay with about 4 inches and 20 pounds on him, but there is a little bit of sample of AD living on the perimeter against Jay when he was in, say, Memphis, and even Jay getting some transition threes and free a lot with AD guarding him out of it. But again, you have to really hope then that AD is going to play on the perimeter, that he's not going to be the focal point of the offense, and that Jay gets a really good box out on him whenever a shot goes up. Again, I would lean towards Bam, but you might potentially see Jay. Either way, they're probably going to have to switch up a decent amount and take turns. Will Dwight punish Jay on the offensive glass, though, if Jay Crowder indeed has to start on Dwight Howard? Keep in mind, Bam guarding AD would obviously mean that Jay has to guard Dwight Howard. So that is clearly not a good matchup for Miami. Dwight has proven the ability to break guys like Jay in half on the offensive glass. We saw even in the regular season in Memphis, even them getting into it a little bit. You know, if you're Jay Crowder, he's going to try to get in your head. He's going to try to impose his will on the offensive glass. Even Bam, he discarded at times. You saw in his 2 starts against Denver, he had 21 points, 20 rebounds, 8 of them offensive. He will discard Derrick Jones Jr. He'll even knock Bam off him a bunch of times. And if you needed one clip that kind of just summarizes how the Lakers play and how they get so many points in the paint, just take a look at this Bron and AD high pick and roll that's going to end with Bron driving and ultimately making a layup. But look at Anthony Davis, Dwight Howard, both crashing the offensive glass. LeBron, AD, Dwight Howard, all in the paint right there as LeBron's shot goes up. That is the perfect example of the Lakers' unbelievable size and why Miami, in their relatively small starting lineup, has to be worried. Even JaVale McGee, even if he does get the start, at least in the series over Dwight, which is possible, but not what I would expect, even he can at times punish you on the offensive glass. Dwight, biggest key with him, wrap him up, make him earn his points at the free throw line if he gets anything easy underneath. Miami does have a lot of bodies to use potentially if they get in foul trouble. Dwight, career always around 50% from the free throw line, make him earn it at the line. Back to AD. Obviously, like I said, we probably won't see Myers Leonard on him, if at all, if he gets back in the rotation, but a key decision Spo will have to make is, do you play him straight up or do you come again and double team him? You certainly don't want to do it when AD's facing up and can see the whole floor like this. That pass is way too easy, and even though you're going to have to live with Bron shooting some threes, you can't have them be that wide open. Derrick Jones Jr., like I said, will probably get some time off the bench on both AD and Bron, but he needs to know if he has a double coming from, say, Duncan Robinson, he needs to send AD to the middle, back to the help, because if you get beat baseline here, there's obviously nothing Duncan Robinson can do on that one. Another thing the Heat do sometimes is front the post. They do it probably more than any team in the league. If Jay Crowder is on AD to start, that's certainly what I would expect him to do a bunch. But Rondo loves to pass the spin-out lob, so does LeBron, and when that lob pass comes over the top, Kelly Olynyk, like he does here, needs to be ready to come over and help, even as they end up fouling AD on that one. Chris Silva, rarely used, but this is pretty much what you want it to look like. If you do decide to come and double, you can come off potential non-shooters at times like Rondo. Jimmy Butler does a great job coming over with high hands when AD still has his back to the basket, can't see the entire floor, ends up passing it to Rondo in a poor spot, make the Lakers do something they weren't trying to do. This is a huge part of the Lakers' offense, though. They are not complicated. They're not going to run a million plays. Bron, a bunch of possessions from even behind half court, is just going to throw the ball up to Anthony Davis on that left block. That's their offense. And again, even though it's not Myers, you need to decide, does Jimmy come over like he does here and double and make the Lakers move the ball? And then is it a hot Danny Green night or a cold one? Because he's going to get open looks from three. The bigger thing that sticks out about AD, though, no matter what kind of defense you play, ultimately he's going to still find a way to make an impact, whether it be offensive rebounding, whether it be lob passes from LeBron, whether it be leak outs, which he loves to do after he contests a shot like he does here on the Olynyk 3. You need to keep in mind, loves to do this. And LeBron, for as much talk about Jokic's passing, that's hard to beat in terms of outlet passers in the league. Again, he also has the short roll for little pick and pop jumpers. He'll certainly spot up on occasion and knock down spot up threes. Again, no matter who guards him, he's going to find ways to score, even off pin downs like that. How many bigs in the league can come off actions like those? Of course, the one thing I didn't mention, the other option Miami has, is the zone that we saw a lot against Boston. I'll dive into that more in part 2 tomorrow. I'll just say for now, though, it does scare me a whole lot more with the Lakers coming out in this 1-3-1 with Anthony Davis right in the middle of the zone. That's a really hard stop. Again, we'll dive more into those clips tomorrow, so make sure you press the thumb up and subscribe button. But that zone is going to be a problem at times with Anthony Davis right in the middle of it. A little easier decision for Erik Spoelstra, if you could call it that, is who guards LeBron James. Obviously a guy he's very familiar with, and the answer is no one person. The answer is it's got to be a team effort, meaning that even though Jimmy Butler's his matchup here, like going against Giannis, the key with Bron is showing him bodies, building a wall in transition. This is not a good wall. This is Duncan Robinson way too close to Alex Caruso. This is Myers Leonard way too close to JaVale McGee. And when LeBron sees open gaps and driving lanes and only one guy to beat like Jimmy Butler, he is too big and he is scoring just about every time. Believe it or not, LeBron and Giannis 1 and 2 in the league in transition points in the regular season for a reason. Again, the Heat's transition defense that they played so well against Giannis, they need to do a much better job than this against Bron, stopping the ball first, or he will live in the paint. The other key with him, making sure you keep a big body on him. For example, you certainly don't want Dragic to switch on him. You want to do that. Dragic in a little bit of show, and then when Danny Green gets out, he gets out. Allows Jimmy Butler to keep guarding him. But then, obviously, don't assume the possession's over by any means, because he's going to keep coming into pick and rolls. And if, let's say, Jay Crowder is guarding Dwight, the one thing is that does make this a little bit easier of just a switch for the Heat. They don't have to worry about Olynyk being in a drop there and being spun off and it being that easy for LeBron. They do have a lot of switchable bodies. Again, you don't want to have Duncan Robinson switched onto him, so Duncan right here taking a charge, perfect. That's exactly what you want to see when Smalls set screens for him. Again, the risk you do run, though, is if you're doing things like this, trying to avoid none switched on him as Caruso sets the screen, Jimmy Butler's got to get through that screen with more intensity. If he's going to go under, you know LeBron's going to take some of these shots, and obviously, as we saw in Game 5 against Denver, he's going to make a lot of big shots in big situations. He is not afraid of the moment. Bam Adebayo, an option to guard him, at least in times when Anthony Davis isn't in the game, does present a relatively decent-sized body, obviously, to force LeBron into some of these tough twos. That's always the goal, that you want to make LeBron shoot. Derrick Jones Jr. has been another Spo favorite to guard him at times, but can he guard him off the dribble when you see, obviously, LeBron is the point guard for the most part? Bam even apologized after this one, saying probably I should have just switched that one. And then again, Derrick Jones, you have to consider, do you run a double at LeBron here? Because even though Jones is a pretty long defender, pretty tall defender, he certainly gives up a lot of muscle mass, a lot of pounds for LeBron to try and body. Jimmy Butler, you would think this is the matchup to start. These two guys, or even just in the fourth quarter, you know they'll be guarding one another, and Jimmy has to be more locked in, has to be better than this. This is a Lakers side out of bounds play. They set a little cross screen for AD, but everything they do, LeBron is always reading it, and if you relax and think he's just going to be a passer, then he's going to get to the rim and dunk on you. Finally, obviously, if LeBron's hitting those, not much you can do. You know he is scoring in a tremendous variety of ways, like Anthony Davis. And then, like I said, though, you can also consider, do you come and double him in the post? Do you try to get in Rajon Rondo's head, Caruso's head, make them beat you from the outside? Danny Green's lost his confidence at times. Something you have to be careful of, though, if you do play one-on-one, you can't over-tilt the floor, meaning the Lakers love to do this on after timeout plays in particular. They'll throw the ball to LeBron in the post. The weak side, they'll have a bunch of guys act like they're cutting, looking for layups, and Kelly Olynyk's going to do exactly what LeBron wants you to do, which is come over from Jared Dudley. It'll probably be Markieff Morris now, but in the weak side corner, Olynyk's going to come over to tag the cutters, and then LeBron is probably the best ever at finding that weak side skip pass. Again, you see him backing down Derrick Jones here. Jimmy Butler's coming to dig it out. Kendrick Nunn is just worried enough about Anthony Davis that KCP is going to get free for a corner three. Another body guy, I was curious why they played him at all against Boston, but now that I think about it, maybe to make sure he could stay in game shape and potentially be another option against LeBron, because Solomon Hill, believe it or not, is another pretty big body who's had some experience against Bron at times. Speaking of experience against Bron, Andre Iguodala's got a little of it in pretty big moments and has done, obviously, a pretty decent job putting pressure on LeBron, making it hard for him to get every catch, and certainly will be a guy they look at off the bench to guard him at times. Tyler Herro, Duncan Robinson, X factors for Miami. Can they still go off and get buckets? Tyler Herro, you saw off ball screens, he's tremendous. He finds a way to get free with a whole bunch of step backs and tough combo moves, like you see a little hezzy pull up here. He's got a lot of solutions in his game. He's got tremendous swag, but he needs to know this is going to be the biggest challenge he's faced yet. Look how locked in the Lakers are here. This is another Spoelstra ATO that he loves to run. The ball goes into Bam in the post. This play basically is Herro setting a fake back pick for Derrick Jones Jr., and then he's going to come off a pin down from Kelly Olynyk. Watch what happens. LeBron right away is going to sniff this out and switch on to Tyler Herro, and then he's going to overplay the pin down so much that Tyler Herro has to back cut it. Jared Dudley takes that away. Then Kelly Olynyk back cuts. Now they switch back. Now Bron's on Tyler Herro, denying him, making him work to get the ball. Lakers end up trapping him. Herro gets a little touch foul. But he needs to know, again, he's going to see a lot of really tough coverage. He's not going to see Avery Bradley, who sometimes it's been a joke that the Lakers obviously haven't really needed him thus far in the playoffs, but I think this finals is going to be when you miss him the most. He did a phenomenal job blowing up ball screens for guys like Tyler Herro, just getting over them, period, so you didn't even need a trap, getting into his body. He was a super physical defender. You see Caruso obviously not quite as good in the technique here. It's going to force Anthony Davis to come and trap, but again, this is something Tyler Herro's struggled with, and as a rookie, you have to prove you can beat this trap every time, because when you don't make the perfect pass out of it and the exact right read, and if you let the Lakers off the hook for playing that aggressive, they're going to keep doing that, and they're going to fluster you and get the ball out of your hands, like you see Rondo Dwight Howard do here. Trap Tyler Herro on the sideline, makes the mistake of turning his back to the middle and ends up throwing the ball away. He needs to take care of the ball. Duncan Robinson, the Lakers know he can get no airspace. He cannot even get this much off 5 feet behind the line, because he is a Klay Thompson type shooter if you let him just get a good look at the basket. The Lakers wing defenders need to stay locked in. KCP, even though you're the low man here and you got to be worried about Bam, he needs to know you can't get sucked in like this when you're guarding Duncan Robinson, because he will come off pin downs all day long. And again, like Tyler Herro, Spo is running plays for him. As a general rule of thumb, Herro and Robinson both. If it looks like they're setting a back pick, they're not. They're slipping out of it and instead coming to the ball, like Danny Green recognizes here. Not falling for that fake back pick. The one thing Duncan Robinson does, in my opinion, do a lot better than Tyler Herro, when he is trapped, he gets the ball into that pocket right away, lets Bam be the facilitator. The Lakers need to be locked into the rotations like Anthony Davis was there. Obviously, you'll live with some tough shots. You see it again here. Duncan comes off the trap. Again, he's really good finding that pocket right away, so the Lakers have to be locked in, ready to come over and rotate, since the Heat, for the most part, do a pretty good job keeping the ball moving. And then again, it becomes a make-miss league with the shooters. He'll come off floppy action. You see AD coming to trap here. Again, great job moving the ball. Great extra pass by Olynyk. Good finish at the basket by Silva. Here, yet again, Duncan gets trapped, moves it to the pocket. Look how smart, disciplined LeBron is. Closing out short to Jimmy Butler, not flying him off the three. You get a good contest on a big like Leonard taking threes. Great shot blocking by JaVale. Will Jimmy Butler get buckets? Can he get it done? Obviously, you know that he scored 20 a game in the 4 wins over Boston, exactly 17 a game in the 2 losses. He gets a huge percentage of his offense from his defense. The Lakers cannot have these live ball turnovers. He is like the free safety, the cornerback. He gets, again, a tremendous amount of his offense from you turning the ball over, from him playing rover, from him just rotating randomly defensively. If you have these deflections, these steals, that's where Jimmy loves to pick you apart the most. But on top of that, he needs to stay in attack mode offensively all series long. We know Herro, Robinson, the young guys, they're going to face a lot of coverage at times. Jimmy's going to have Bron on him, but he needs to stay aggressive. He needs to continue to attack the basket. And then anytime he doesn't have Bron on him, he needs to find a way, get to his spots in the mid-range, get to the basket on the pick and rolls with Bam. Do what he does. Be a scorer. Be that superstar offensively. Again, the Heat have a lot of shooters on the floor. You need good defenders on Robinson, on Herro. So, again, anytime Bron is not on Jimmy Butler, even though Danny Green's a good defender, even though KCP's a good defender, he needs to go at those guys, not settle. Anytime Caruso's on him, that needs to be a bucket. That needs to be his mentality all series long. That guy cannot stop me. KCP, he can't stop me either. Again, Jimmy in the post, anybody but Bron, he needs to stay in attack mode all series long. Make sure you thumb up, hit that subscribe button. Again, part 2 coming tomorrow. Thanks for watching.